Good afternoon, everybody. WPTV Chris Gilmore here. I'm an anchor at this station. I do work on both WPTV and WFLX. We're here to talk about Black History Month today, though. Obviously, we are in the thick of Black History Month, and we want to highlight a particular organization that focuses on young women and ladies from the crib to the conference table is what we've jokingly said with the organizers here, just chatting prior to this little live stream that we have here. It's on both our Facebook and YouTube pages during your lunch hour. So as you join our conversation, feel free to chime in, ask any questions that you may have, but we are talking about female empowerment. Black History Month. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about, particularly with what we've been broadcasting on Channel 5. It's Winter Olympics. We've seen a lot of pioneers there. The speed skater Erin Jackson getting her first gold medal. But we want to also talk about homegrown efforts to, promote Black success in all arenas. And what a better organization than the Black Doll Affair. I'm just learning about them. And we have a lot of the ladies or the dolls behind the organization here with us today. So I want to go ahead and loop them in, introduce you to them. First and foremost, we have the founder who has some ties to South Florida, which we love to see. So let's go ahead and let her introduce herself and tell you what exactly is the Black Doll Affair.
Good morning, every dolly. It's Mama Doll, proud founder of the Black Doll Affair. Thank you for having us, Chris. So the organization is in its 15th year, and I created it in 2007 after witnessing the doll tests on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and was appalled to see, and just a little backstory for people who don't know about the doll tests.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it in my psychology class in high school, but it's something that's survived the testament of time. So go ahead and give us some background about that.
So husband and wife psychology team, Kenneth and Mamie Clark, created during the early civil rights movements, created this doll test where, and it's really a psychological test for children and a temperature to kind of see where our children are in their self-esteem. And so they took identical dolls, a black doll and a white doll, and presented them to young children as young as 3 and 4 years old, and asked them 3 basic questions. Which doll is the good doll? Which doll is the bad doll? And which doll do you prefer to play with? And why is it good, bad, and the doll you prefer to play with? Well, this is a test that was done originally in the 40s and then made famous during Brown versus Board of Education, Supreme Court case. And it was presented there and ushered into the Supreme Court, an integral part for the reasons the Supreme Court decided to desegregate schools. But fast forward, we thought we left that in history, or at least I thought we left it in history. Fast forward to 2007, I am in my kitchen in Atlanta watching the Oprah show about skewed images of, ourselves and things we see in the public eye. And a young girl, Kira Davis, was reconducting the doll test in a documentary called A Girl Like Me. And I was just blown away to see these Black children, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, choosing the black doll as bad, ugly, and the one they didn't want to play with. But what really blew me away was how they really sort of separated themselves at such a young age from their identity. She asked, which doll looks like you? Which was a question that I thought was so powerful after these kids had just identified the black doll as bad and ugly. And so to see this one little girl sort of angrily push the black doll towards Carrie when she had to say, this is the one that looks like me, I thought, wow, this child just identified with the black doll and she's angry about that. And so I threw what was supposed to be a one-time Christmas party where Black women and girls showed up in T-shirts with a toy doll. And the concept was arrive at this party as a living doll, whether you were blue, black, or they couldn't tell if you were black, whether you were size 2 or 22, and really just come to life and talk about life as the black doll, good, bad, and ugly. And so what was supposed to be a one-time Christmas party has turned into a 15-year-old movement that is written about in college textbooks and has been given a Presidential Service Award by the first Black president, has partnered with name brands like Barbie and MGA Entertainment, and has picked up huge celebrities like Misty Copeland and Gabrielle Union. And thousands of women across the country wear the T-shirt to become a Black doll. Our slogan is "Be a doll, give a doll," and "Be a doll" means show up in that T-shirt, be willing to help us change the way Black girls are perceived, more importantly, perceive themselves. That's our mission, and show up at the Black Doll Affair with a doll, and leave that doll with us, so that at the end of the year we can give those dolls away around the country. And we've done that for
some of
years.
the charity, Dana, and that's what's so great about it. I want to go ahead and, for the sake of time here, want to bring in some of the.
Because I'll go on all day.
and with good reason. But we have some of the dolls that you've been able to help over the time that this organization has been in play, and it must be very inspiring for you to see the impact that it's had on those individuals. I want to go ahead and bring in one of the dolls, Kendra Dixon. And Kendra, just go ahead and tell me, how has the organization helped you, and what does it mean to you?
Well, my name is Kendra. I've been part of the Black Doll Affair since 2009, and it has definitely impacted my life in such a positive way. At the time, I had just, had my first daughter, and I was looking for ways to get back into the community and give back. And the Black Doll Affair crossed my path. So I was like, oh, what's that? I was aware of the 1940s doll test, so that kind of stuck with me, that it was birthed because of the remake of that. And so, I went to a Black Doll Affair, met Dana and some dolls, and I was so there. I had the opportunity to be in a position where I can give back my time and my money to the community. And then what sold me was the Be a Doll, Give a Doll. I had just had my daughter, and I'm like, well, yeah, I'm going to buy dolls, and I want to pour back into her, because I grew up, not having high self-esteem. And sometimes people look at you and they might not know what you're going through. And I realized that I carried that over into my adulthood, and I didn't want to pass that on to my daughters. So being in an atmosphere around other women who were like-minded, who were passionate about just reminding a Black girl of her beauty, really stuck with me, because the conversation of Black beauty is a conversation that's going to stick around forever, and it's a conversation that we're going to always have to have. So the fact that I can be a living doll that my daughters see, when I put on a shirt, it's more than a T-shirt. It's a message of the vision that we represent, the mission, and I just enjoy the fact that I'm able to put my daughters in a position where they can see themselves through me. Funny enough, we were just in Vogue, and I had the opportunity. I've had many experiences with the Black Doll Affair. My daughter, she was like, "Oh my goodness, mommy, you and the Black dolls, y'all are celebrities." And I didn't look at it that way, but the fact that she saw me, she saw us in a magazine where she doesn't usually see it. That was a heartwarming moment for me. And there's at such a pivotal age, I have a daughter, she's 12, my other daughter's 9. And with social media and, TV, they don't really see positive images of themselves all the time. And I always teach them, you're magical, you're beautiful, you can do everything. And this is something that the Black Doll Affair constantly teaches to our baby dolls, and not only just our baby dolls, our Black dolls. We have our yearly Christmas parties in December, and that's something that my daughters look forward to every year. We have it the first Saturday of December all around the world, where we have our Black Doll Affair Christmas parties. And little girls are able to see living dolls, but they also receive a toy doll. But not only that, they're also walking away with the message of beauty. And despite that toy doll that they're receiving, that message of beauty is something that's going to stick with them forever. So the Black Doll Affair is an amazing organization. I am so honored to be a Black doll. I've enjoyed my experiences. I love pouring back. I love what's being poured into me from Mama Doll, from my doll sisters. Everyone's so motivating. Everybody is just... it's just an amazing experience for me.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing your testimony, Kendra.
Thank you.
Obviously, as we mentioned, this is an issue that affects people both young and old. And, it's the sad but necessary part that we still have to continue to do stuff like this. But Dana, go ahead and touch base with me about just the necessity of efforts like this, because as we discussed, this is something that has not gone away. But what have you seen in terms of, the timeline of there being greater accessibility to images, mentors, books that show Black women in a brighter light?
Well, first of all, when we started, in 2007, there were the term Black Girl Magic didn't exist. And we had a lot of work to do. You couldn't just walk into Walgreens and buy a black doll. You couldn't even walk into Toys R Us and buy a black doll, because after they, the two that they gave us to buy were gone, they were gone. And so we really had to create a movement around the black dolls and self-esteem and empowerment. And then as we journeyed down the line, it was, Black Girls Rock on television, and then Black Girls Run, and then just all of these movements about Black girls and their empowerment. So I have watched both the living dolls in the mirror grow. I've seen, even on my own team, so many women have remained with me from the beginning. I've watched their evolution. I've watched them feel more empowered to use their voices. I always say you don't have to make a scene to make a message. And so I see how they are crafting their self-esteem and presenting differently. I've watched the evolution of my members. I've watched the evolution of their children who would come to movements. I mean, Kendra's girls are a prime example of it. They are just empowered, and therefore I'm watching them being empowering, and they're going out for sports, and they're attending Black Doll affairs and speaking for us, and, young girls able to tap on the mic and use their voices. So to arrive, at a time when we started, there was no Barack Obama. And so to sort of navigate through this time in history, and do it with some really big names, like Mattel, like Macy's, to have just this massive sort of attention put on Black girl empowerment outside the Black Doll Affair and within the Black Doll Affair is huge. And yet we see every day in national news stories, and I see every day in my life, we still don't get the opportunity to just walk out of the door and be. We're still always having to prove ourselves, no matter the accolade. Every single one of the women here have been seen in Vogue, have been seen in Oprah. Their names are in history college textbooks, literally. Mm-hmm. And we've accomplished so much. And yet we're still reduced to having to be magical. Right. There was a very controversial thing that Omarosa said on a talk show, and she took a lot of heat for it, but I understood it intrinsically. She said to a white woman, you guys get to be mediocre. And of course, as a white woman, if you're listening to that, you're offended by it. But what she was saying and articulated beautifully is that we don't get to be that. We can't just go out and be mediocre. We have to remind people. I was at a meeting recently where there was a subject on the table, and usually I go in and talk about who I am and what I've done and, all of that. And I thought, tonight's not about that. I don't have to be Mama Doll. But I didn't, and was reduced to, who do you think you are? And just reminded that, oh yeah, you forgot all of your accolades, Mama Doll. So it's important work, and it's not done yet, sadly.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's an important point. A lot of it is mental, and the self-affirmation of, hey, I take up space. I am somebody, you don't have to necessarily be great, but you can be somebody. I want to go ahead and remind everyone who's watching about why we're here. This is the Black Doll Affair, who are highlighting a part of Black history. For those of you who are watching who have any questions or comments about what you'd like to see or what you've experienced in terms of Black History Month this year, feel free to mention in the comments. If not, we're having a pretty great conversation here. I want to go ahead and not forget about our other doll in the room, Karen, who's the PR, public relations, marketing arm of the organization. One big question I have for some of those who are watching: how can we support the Black Doll Affair, and what events do you have coming up?
Well, one of the things I want to say, you can always support the Black Doll Affair by going to blackdollaffair.com. And there are a host of different ways that you can support us, and that's all listed online. To become a doll, you just simply buy a tee. And then we have many experiences, and you can look and see what kind of events we have coming up in terms of our self-esteem movement. and whatever philanthropic events we are considering doing. But the one thing I want to do, and being kind of like the cleanup person here, is talk about what you said at the beginning, from the crib to the conference table. From plastic dolls to living dolls, we are the living dolls, and we can use plastic dolls to have little girls have a creative and envision themselves as something spectacular when they grow up. You'll see dolls now that are doctors, that are teachers, that are astronauts. I keep this here because this is one of the first astronaut dolls that came out long before the first Black woman astronaut went up into space. And this is something I use every time I have an event to talk about what you can be. And, we are the Black dolls of the Black Doll Affair, and we're here to change the way Black women are perceived. But more importantly, how do we perceive ourselves? You spoke about Erin Johnson, historic run in the 2022 Olympics. She is the first Black woman to ever do speed skating. What does that say to our little young girls? It says you can be whatever you want to be. You just have to put your mind to it and don't get distracted by the noise, the eminent noise that surrounds us, that, like Dana says, try to reduce us to some common lower denominator factor. We're not. We're strong. We're beautiful. This movement is not a Black activist movement. It's a Black empowerment movement. But we have so many supporters here that are, not just Black and not just women. We have white women that are called porcelain dolls. We have men that are called Black doll brothers. And the non-Black men are called porcelain pals. We have supporters in terms of Danny Strong, Emmy Award-winning actor and screenwriter and producer. Gabrielle Union, I don't have to tell you who she is. These are our honorary dolls. Misty Copeland, principal dancer for the American Ballet Theater. Shane Evans, who's an illustrator for Tay Diggs, actor and writer, Chocolate Me book. Shula King, comedian. We have Cheryl Brown Henderson, which Dana referred to the doll test being used in Brown versus the Board of Education. We have historic people that are part of our movement.
I love to hear that, Karen, especially during, Black History Month, because I was going to finish up with saying that the most important thing that I think that we can do as, allies and people who are within the movement is to keep these Black stories alive, which I feel like you all are doing a great job of doing, reminding everyone again that you can go to your website to support buying a T-shirt, just, reminding people, if not of anything, the experiment. And also, saying that this is just not a binary thing. You can have Black Doll Brothers, which I might have to look into becoming at the end of this.
Well, you should.
Also, as it relates to, Florida, we have so many stories of success here in our own backyard. We mentioned off camera about, Serena Williams. We also have Coco Gauff, Erin Johnson in the sports world, but also it extends beyond that. You don't just have to be athletic or beautiful. You can also be intelligent. So I love you having the astronaut doll there. It reminds me of the movie Hidden Figures, to show that Black women can also be smart and occupy spaces that weren't previously reserved for them. I'm thinking about more recently, Kamala Harris, Stacey Abrams, in terms of change makers and policy makers. So I just got to appreciate you all so much for taking time out to remind us of this. Black History Month, it seems like a shame that it's only, a month that we get to really highlight these, but I appreciate the work that you're doing, throughout the year and years since 2007 to do this. So moving forward, I know that you said that you have an event around Christmas time. Is that the Be a Doll, Give a Doll? How can we promote this going forward?
So right now we are we really start to, as Kendra mentioned, our Christmas parties are annual, first Saturday of every December, which from day one, it's been that way. And then after that, I go on hiatus because I work so hard throughout the year. And then we start to pick back up around this time, Black History Month. And then I start to have conversations with the dolls about what's next, and really sort of building up to Christmas. I use this time to say, what are we going to do next year, Mom and all? What conversation needs to be presented to the Black Doll Affair? And so that's a messaging and a program that I get with Karen, we put together, and then somewhere in spring, summer, we announce to our ambassadors, our Christmas ambassadors, which are women around the country, what we're going to be doing. And then later that year, we'd announce it globally, what our Christmas party will be about. And then we just sort of put together calendars. Obviously, a lot is going on online because of the pandemic. That's hindered a lot of our social club events. So we are still practicing social distancing and just kind of peeking our head out the door going, is it time yet? But for now, I would like to say, the messaging behind the Black Doll Affair is no membership fee. Just buy your Black Doll tee. And for the remaining part of Black History Month, we created last Christmas paper dolls. For the first time, the Black Doll Affair wanted to present the discussion of all of the plastic pollution. Having become the largest consumer group of the toy Black Doll, we wanted to address the plastic solution that we were responsible for. And so last year's theme was paper dolls. And so anybody that becomes a member listening to the broadcast, we will automatically add, and you've got the paper dolls in your backdrop, we will automatically add a complimentary paper doll to their order. And I would just say, to keep up with our affairs, once you join, you become a part of the newsletter and follow us on social media.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your
Check
afternoon.
out our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. There you go. And you see the website scrolling on the bottom of your screen. They have several avenues for you to get in contact with them. And obviously, if you don't have an event going on there, you just ask somebody about examples of Black excellence, Black girl magic, and Black history. We love to showcase that here on WPTV, and we are grateful for you ladies taking your time out of your day. And remember, dolls come in all shapes, sizes, colors, and dimensions now, 2D and 3D. And if you want to support them, go ahead and check them out. Thank you, Dana and Karen. We appreciate it.
Thanks for the press. We appreciate it, Chris. Happy Black History Month.
Yes. Bye.